Hello and welcome to Women Crush Wednesday on the Red Bra Project YouTube channel. This is episode 12. I'm happy to be back. I missed last week and just felt an emptiness last Wednesday. But I did, as Renee put in our Insta story, have my backup, my understudy, my daughter ready to fill in for me. But I'm going to throw it over to Renee tonight, see how she's doing, see if she's ready for Kendall in the future.
Hey everybody, thank you guys for tuning in. We're so excited to be here tonight. Shauna, we missed you. But yeah, I know Kendall's gonna step up to the plate pretty soon here, girl. You better watch out.
She's ready. So tonight, I'm so excited to introduce our guest. We are more than excited to introduce you to Kristin Corrigan, who has kind of become her own entrepreneur and started her interior design business, all from a career that kind of led her to this. And Kristin, I don't want to steal your thunder, so I will let you do a much better introduction of yourself. I'm going to toss it over to you. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Shauna. Thanks, Renee. I'm really excited and flattered to be here. I love what you guys are doing and putting forward to help other women be confident in themselves and what they're doing and the projects that they're working on. So I'm really flattered to be here, and thank you so much for having me. I am excited to connect with your audience. So yay. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself, as you said. Just starting a little bit farther back, I grew up in Maine, in a little small town just outside of Portland, beautiful, super picturesque, and then went to a small liberal arts school in upstate New York, Hobart and William Smith. And after I graduated college, I moved to Boston and started working in hotels. So I worked in hotels for about 10 years, which was awesome. I was on the event side, catering, met some really incredible people, got to see beautiful properties, was really inspired by some of the interior and design and look of the events that we were putting on, which has certainly led into what I'm doing now. About 7 years ago, my now husband and I decided that we wanted to move on in our careers and take our next step. So we chose DC as our city. What we did was decided to choose two different cities. So he proposed New York City and DC, and I proposed Chicago and DC. And so here we are.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it actually worked out. I'm surprised. So we moved down to DC. I continued to work in hotels, really high-paced energy in DC, which is fun and inspiring. And once we got married 3 years ago, we bought our first home in Fort Washington, Maryland. So Fort Washington is an interesting neighborhood. It is definitely up and coming, but we have found a really pretty little hamlet on a part of the creek that's off the Potomac. So it's kind of like a little oasis down here. So we are outside the city, which was hard to leave and move from. But now we're in Fort Washington. We found a really quirky house. So we'll talk a little bit more, of course, about my projects that I've done around here, but we found a quirky house that needed a little bit of renovation, but it just had a lot of charm to start with, tons of natural light, which is amazing. So we've moved down here and are really enjoying life. I invite my friends over all the time, mostly because they live away and I'm just forcing them to come to me because that's my nature. I host events and I entertain, and I like to have people around food and beverage as much as possible. So wine and cheese, ladies, you've got your wine.
Cheers.
So wine and cheese are fun. And I just have enjoyed really exploring the area down here and, you know, seeing the different small towns. It's very separated from New England. So unique people in different areas and lots of history down here too. And, you know, I'm doing vintage shopping, which is super fun, and enjoying some of the wineries that are out in the region, some hiking that's out in the beautiful mountains in the Blue Ridge. So it's a fun area.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. So, you know, maybe one day I'll move back to New England, but I've really enjoyed and valued the time that I've spent down here. So, and then, you know, of course, having moved into my home and really sort of starting to hone in on my own style, I was able to really launch my own business within this last year. So I transitioned out of the hotel world a few years ago and had some spare time that I wanted to fill creatively, which has been really valuable. And so I started my own business, which is Kristin Corrigan Styling and Events. And from that, I'm doing
Hold on, I'm gonna stop you really quick. When you say started your own business, do you mean like recently within the last year, or how recent?
So within the last year officially, I mean, I was doing lots of little things. I feel like you can both relate. There's lots of entrepreneurial spirit that goes around with just wanting to do projects that are passion projects here and there. But to officially launch and, you know, put your name on something, start a website, push yourself out there, network, that has all been within the last year to officially be golden and starting. So, yes.
Like,
it's been a fun year.
Completely off topic. I am curious, what was the plan if you didn't have an overlapping city? Like, did you have, okay, then we go here?
So we're backtracking a little bit. I don't know. I guess I feel just lucky that we ended up with the same city.
I mean, such a cool story. I love how you ended up there, just based on let's each pick two and hope for the best.
I know, yeah. I guess we would have had to have a serious conversation back at the beginning when we weren't married yet, what was going to happen if we didn't want to be in the same place. So things have worked out for us. Yeah. So, and since then in the last year, it's just been like a total whirlwind, loving living in my home, being married, exploring the region, having my own business where I do lots of random things. When I tell people about it, they're always sort of amazed by how much I'm doing, which I think is exactly what a lot of other people out there are doing when they're in kind of like a transition mode, which is a little bit where I am, where I still do have my 9-to-5 job where I work at an association doing events. But then I'm doing some of my passion projects on the side, which is just sort of what keeps me going and keeps me energized.
Yeah, you literally just came from an event after working today and hopped on with us. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us. But that is definitely go, go, go.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's kind of how I like to live. I am more motivated when I'm have lots of projects going on and lots of work to do than I will be if I'm just sort of sitting around feeling less motivated and twiddling my thumbs. So to me, it's just like lots of stuff going on, which I feel like you two can relate to because, you know, you've got all of your own blogs and this blog and you're working and trying to connect with people. So it's just fun. I enjoy it.
It is. There's so much creative energy coming through and you get to channel it to where you are excited to. And that's kind of what fuels you. So we totally understand.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, what gave you the courage? Like, how did you push through on any of that fear? You know, I mean, I think there's days where Renee and I are like, we're doing this, but we definitely, you know, could still use the advice from others on who have started this and how they continue to push through and make this a goal they want to see through.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely scary. I'm still in the beginning stages of my journey, having just recently launched. So I'm sure we're on the same page in a lot of our fears. There's a lot of insecurities. It's really difficult not to be out there comparing yourselves with, you know, for you guys, other blogs, for me, other interior designers or stylists or event planners, especially when you're in such a visual platform such as Instagram, which is really what I focus on the most. But I think that just knowing that everybody makes mistakes is a really important thing to keep in mind. I mean, I need to go out there and push myself to take chances and just know that any mistake that I make, I will learn from. There have been some embarrassing moments, which is definitely, I think, part of the journey. Where
sure.
I'm just,
I mean, all you can do is laugh it off, you know, learn from it, and then quickly try to do something else. I mean, there's so many mistakes.
Yeah. And I think, you know, the spaces that we are interacting in, there's a lot of people that have probably had the same story. So hopefully they can relate. And if they're giving you a hard time for something, maybe that's not really the person that you want to be connecting with too, because, you know, whomever you're having in your space and that are going to be around to support you should be people that can understand that, you know, shit happens. And I think, you know, I had mentioned to you ladies, one of my favorite quotes as far as like just starting up is to not compare yourself. So don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle, because that's really sort of, you know, I'm in the beginning and I can't go out there and compare myself to like an Emily Henderson, who I really admire and love. I'm not going to be anywhere near what she is, or even some people that are half of her journey along. So it's just about me and what I'm doing, and that I need to take some risks and put myself out there. And it's just important to keep pushing and just know that I'm going to be embarrassed and just do it anyway.
Yeah. So when what made you finally make the jump? Like, what made you finally stop thinking about the fears, the what ifs, and all of that, and just did it? And how did you do it?
So in the DC area, at least, I've really found that a lot of the creatives, specifically, I guess, starting having been on the event side and weddings, are really supportive of one another, which I think is really, really important. So it's more about community over competition is sort of the saying, at least here. And I'm sure that's the same in other cities. So when I first started, I was just playing around, posting pictures on Instagram, stuff that was more my photos that wasn't perfect quality, but it was just that my friends and people that I was connected to could understand that I generally have good style and I have a good eye for things. And so I connected with my photographer friend, Sarah Bradshaw. She's amazing. And she was looking to sort of get into the same area that I am in interiors. So we partnered up and she came over. We, of course, drank wine and ate cheese. Which is my go-to for my friends. Right? Yeah.
I think Renee and I might be inviting ourselves to DC soon.
Yeah. I know. Come on over. I serve a really nice rosé from Trader Joe's. It's my favorite. Anyway, so she came over and we were just chatting and we decided to go ahead and do a home tour, sort of what the industry people are calling it. So we shot a bunch of rooms in my house on a separate day. It was an incredible amount of work. It was maybe a year ago now. It was really eye-opening to photo shoots and, styling for the camera, which is certainly different from just your everyday look in your home. We shot the home and submitted it to a couple blogs. They accepted, and that was kind of like major validation for me, that it wasn't just me and my friends saying, oh, you have a beautiful home. It was, people outside of my immediate group were also giving me the accolades that I was looking for. So it was sort of that was, you are good at this, support yourself too. And let's go.
Yeah, that's awesome. But you actually so you did the shoot, but you had to take the next step and push it out to those high profile blogs and people out there.
Yeah. That was definitely, speaking of insecurities from before, that was certainly a moment that, I just decided that if you don't ask for what you want, you don't get it. And so I submitted my home tour with Sarah to the Every Girl and also to Style Me Pretty, which are two really popular blogs, very different, I think, as far as audiences. The Every Girl has a really fun community of women and young women. And when that got posted, I felt the love. So speaking of, somebody or a group or of people that are supporting women out there, I think the Every Girl is definitely one of those where they're just speaking honestly. And I think, I'm not here to publicize for the Every Girl, but they also just launched the Every Mom, which I think is just like the next step for, women out there that maybe aren't relating quite as much to like the younger 20s posts that they do. So anyway, great platform and blog for any of you listeners out there.
Yeah. And, such a good place to go and just feel inspired and supported, like you said.
Yeah, I love that you're sharing it. It's exactly what we want to do is, all of these different avenues for women to feel celebrated. That's perfect to highlight them here.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just really flattered and excited to be on those different platforms. So I submitted to both and got to write up a little bit about my house. And it really just it was helpful for me to be a little introspective and think about myself and what my goals were when I was answering some of their questions. So it pushed me a little bit to, to start maybe putting in writing my goals and push out my website. And it all kind of happened really fast, which was good. And since then, it's been a whirlwind. I'm still again at the beginning, so trying to work on clients and building up my name and stuff. But those two blog posts were certainly a huge sort of unofficial launch for me.
That's the awesome. World was ready for you. You had to put it out there, and they were ready to go.
Yep, here we go.
So I couldn't do the Red Bra project without Renee. There are days where you'll watch our texts and you can see that like my thoughts are flowing, her thoughts are flowing. So are there women in your life that keep you motivated? Because you're kind of doing this a little bit on your own, but how do you stay, pushed and empowered?
Yeah. I mean, so I mentioned a little bit earlier that the community of women, at least in the DC area, are really motivating. I have found a group specifically of a couple women that I think I can be honest and raw with as far as like what's going on in my business and in my head and things that are driving me nuts or, you know, making me nervous. I do have one friend in particular, Hannah Marsh. She's starting her own business and she's kind of in the same place as I am, really introductory spot in where her business is going. So she and I have a monthly call where we just like spill it all out there and, you know, what's going on and how can we brainstorm with each other. And it's just a really supportive setting where we can, you know, share things that we're worried about or thinking about, strategize a little bit together, even though our businesses are a little bit different. It's still nice to have somebody out there who appreciates what I'm going through. So she's one person, but there's many others out there. You know, I mean, I would be amiss if I didn't say my mom because I call her all the time, you know, just sharing what's going on. And she's like my biggest cheerleader. So if I didn't have her in my life, that would certainly be, a loss. So I'm thankful to have lots of women in my life and, you know, people that are out there like you guys who are just like cheerleaders and, you know, fans that are on Instagram that just say positive things all the time. I mean, there's just such a huge community of women that really want to encourage one another. And this is a great platform just to speak about that. So lots of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kristin, share with us a little bit kind of about your style, your decorating, how, like what, I know you have such a great eye. I went through a ton of your portfolio, things like that, and your Instagram feed, and anybody watching, you should definitely check it out. But what kind of inspires you?
I really take a lot from, I have a little bit of a modern look to my style, but I really appreciate some of the antiques and pieces that have a story to them. So I really think that your home needs to have character and speak to who you are and, you know, tell a little bit about your life and what you like to do. So, you know, I would never want someone to go to one big box store and get everything from there. I think that collecting pieces, and even if it's something like not everybody has antiques that they can have passed down through the family, I totally understand that. But maybe some pieces can speak to you and you can get them on Craigslist. I'm a huge proponent of Craigslist. You can find such great treasures on there. And we found tons of things in our home for that. So I think if you know, my particular style is just like a mix of lots of different things. And I think that that's a lot where the interior design industry is going for sure right now, is just having pieces that have character. So whether it's a small art piece or something that you've picked up at an antique store that spoke to you, it's like a little vase, maybe even it's your kid made a piece of pottery and it's just beautiful and it says something to you and you can put that on a shelf with a couple old books or something. I just like eclectic things coming together and telling a little bit of the story of you.
That's so
beautiful.
beautiful.
And I think right now I do a little bit mid-century. So if we're going to speak about anything, a little modern because my home is super modern. It's bright, it's light. And then I really love a little mid-century accent. My friend actually, Sarah, she called me up or sent me a text message and said to me, there's a mid-century coffee table sitting on the street like someone had thrown it away. She's like, do you want it? And I was like, yes, I want that.
Grab the table.
Yeah, grab the table, bring it in. So it's actually right here. I'm using it right now. But yeah, I like the eclectic look, a little bit of color. I'm trying to add color into my life a little bit more because I'm all about like the natural wood and gold tones. So we have a huge, big, bold piece of art that my sister-in-law, she's an amazing artist. She's out of Brooklyn right now is where her studio is. And she did a huge, colorful piece for us that's, I think it's a 5x4. So basically like the size of our couch almost. It sits in our living room and it's a statement piece that I've worked around. So again, like just finding pieces that you love and then sort of incorporating them and making them work through your space is fun.
That's awesome. So what would you say is next for you? So right now, are you focused in DC or, you know, are you looking to go more nationally with this, or what is your small and large goals?
Yeah, I mean, for me right now, I'm probably pretty content where I am. I get a little bit of everything. So I really enjoy my job at the association and have fun working global events. But I also enjoy that I can spend my free time with something that I'm so passionate about. There may come a point where it kind of comes to a head, but for right now, I'm pretty content. So, you know, maybe my 5-10 year plan would be to do a little bit more independent work, styling and events. And I think we'll probably still be in DC, but I mean, I'd be very happy back in Maine. But I don't know that that's necessarily in our plan. So at least we'll be here for the indefinite future. So just building my network here is really important, and meeting other creatives. You know, just incorporating myself into the community here is really important for me. So meeting other photographers and other stylists and interior designers, event planners. I work with a wonderful wedding planner, Kelly Cannon, and she's really introduced me to a lot of other planners. And it's just fun to be here, and I'm living and thriving and having a great time right now. So no immediate changes, but I'm just having a good time and putting myself out there.
That's the best part. Just have fun with it. I mean, if you're not having fun with it, then maybe it's time to go back to the planning stages, but it sounds like you're in a really great place.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree. Seems like you ladies do the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have to ask, because on your page, you have this beautiful, beautiful blue tile in your bathroom. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I mentioned my house is very quirky. It was built in the 1980s. It's super modern. When we came in, I mean, not to speak to the bathroom yet, but for our kitchen, you'll have to find the before and after on my Instagram, but our kitchen had shiny black cabinets, bright turquoise backsplash, and a really hideous gray granite. So it's just like, I call it like a Miami Vice. It was just, there's so many different styles. Yeah. It didn't really, it wasn't attractive. I almost said to my husband that we shouldn't even move in here, but we did, which I'm thankful for. So one of the quirky things was the bathroom upstairs. It was our guest bathroom. It has blue tiles, which are fun little tiny blue tile. They're not like, I know that the cement tile is very popular right now, but ours are a little bit more unique than that. They're small, but they have like kind of a marbling look to them. And it also came with a very long vanity with one sink that was a mauve color with an oak wood. And our toilet was pink. Our bathtub was blue. And all of the other tile in the shower was blue. And it had one, like, really a hideous mirror. And
like Pepto-Bismol pink?
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, I remember my grandma had that Pepto-Bismol tile in her bathroom, so I got the picture.
Yeah, it was like that, just a combination of everything that you would never want. And so when we even came in to view the house, I took pictures of every room, and I literally didn't even take a picture of that room, unfortunately, for my before and afters. But I was like, I can't, we're not going to come in this room. So anyway, what we decided to do was just embrace the blue, because there was a lot of blue. We didn't want to gut everything in the house. I was just not a place where we were at. And so we embraced the blue and just made everything else bright white and fresh. So we got, you know, a prefab thing off Home Depot. You don't have to spend a lot of money to make things look nice. You know, you can be a little eclectic, like I said before. So you just got a really fresh white vanity with 2 sinks, marble top, got a couple new mirrors. And the tile is still blue everywhere else. But when people go in the room, they're like, I love this. And it just gets a lot of attention because we were able to just switch a few things out and just have fun with, you know, the quirky elements in the house.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah, I love it, actually. It's probably one of my favorite things, even though it was really inexpensive and we just embraced the funny things.
That's awesome. I feel like our audience can learn so much from you. Just, I mean, on that little tidbit there, like that a whole home remodel doesn't have to mean the whole room needs a gut. So if they are interested in learning more, we will definitely make sure that tomorrow and in our blog that they'll have information to link up with you. But before we do that, you know, one question that we always ask our guests is, you know, what is we consider our red bra our superhero cape. So when you think about it that way, do you have a particular red bra moment where you had to whip it out and just really embrace your superpowers?
Yeah, I mean, I think the moment that comes to mind mostly is something I already touched on a little bit. When I knew I loved interiors and styling, and I was able to just put myself out there and submit my home tour to those 2 blogs, that was just a moment of let's do this. I need to just get myself out there. I know I can do good work and that this is something that other people would value. I'm really nervous to do this, but like I said before, if you don't ask for it, you're not going to get it. And so I just submitted my post, didn't think anything of it, tried to put it in the back of my mind for a little while. And when I got accepted, it was just like a huge vote of confidence. So I think, you know, just being proud enough of your work and who you are and what you're putting out into the world is really important, and you should share it. And that was my moment where I felt validated for my bravery, I guess.
Awesome. We love it. I'm so glad you did it, because you're sharing your designs with so many people now, which is wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, which is a good question. So you work one-on-one with people as well. Like if I reached out to you and I wanted my home decorated, you would go through the steps with me. That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah. Well, what I'm doing right now, a little bit more, I'm not a full interior designer as far as like measuring carpets and couches, but it's more like finishing touches. So if you've got the basics pieces in your home, but you're just sort of stunted or not sure where to go from there, I worked with clients where it's just, you know, sourcing some of those eclectic final pieces. If they don't necessarily have family heirlooms, a lot of the antiques can add character. I'll sit down and talk to you about what your style is and what we can put together that will just make your home kind of come alive, which I think is really important in everybody's space, just to feel comfortable when you get home. So I do that with clients right now, yes. And I can also do e-design if you're not in my area. So I can suggest products and things that you can purchase online. So I like just being able to help people. And, you know, I think that if you have a finished home, it just feels happy when you come home.
Yeah, for sure. I like the e-design idea. That's really good. It makes you able to help a lot more people than having to be right in person. So
yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, you know, your pieces tell a story, and obviously Shauna and I can relate to that. So oh my goodness. Well, Kristin, thank you so, so much for joining us tonight. We're so excited to have you as part of our Red Bra highlight reel now. Like Shauna mentioned, we'll put everything up tomorrow on our Instagram. So come on over and join the party at the Red Bra Project, and you'll find us. You'll find Kristin's picture and all the links to follow her and get in contact with her. And then, of course, on the redbraproject.com, we're going to go ahead and put up a blog post all about Kristin's highlight tonight. So, Kristin, you talked about this a little bit earlier, but we close out every show with a quote. And the quote that we had picked for you picked essentially yourself, and we loved it. So don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle, or your middle to someone else's end. And that's from Tim Hiller. And I think you said it so perfectly, because, you know, a lot of times when we're thinking about just starting something off, we look to people who become our mentors or that inspire us. And it can be really easy to get caught into that trap of comparison and feeling like, oh, but I'm not there yet. But that group, that company, that person could have been working on it for 10, 7, 8 years beforehand. So get out there and do it. So thank you so much for sharing that with us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both. I think that that your blog and what you're putting out there to women is really valuable, and sharing our stories with one another is what keeps us motivated and keeps us going. Everybody's at a different place in their story, and it's just fascinating and important for us to share with one another. So thank you guys for including me. I'm really honored, as I said, to be here, and excited to see what you guys continue to do, and we'll follow along with your journey as well.
You're awesome, and the honor is all ours. Honestly, we are just so excited that you want to be a part of our journey as well. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And for those of you tuning in, if you know somebody who would love to hear this, maybe connects with an interior designer, prop designer, event planner, she does it all, definitely share this YouTube video with them, and make sure to subscribe for all of our future reminders. We showcase a variety of stories, so there's always something good here. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.